Oh, I'm upside down. Whoops. That's better. It's morning. It is the 1st of April in the year of our Lord 2023. And I'm finally able to get a decent signal from time to time. Come on, you evil camera, sit still. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Chitting and Chatting and whatever pops up. Coming to you live from beautiful downtown Crestline in the San Bernardino Mountains of Southern California's Inland Empire. There's all kinds of stuff in the news, but what I want to say is that the snow is melting. After the first storm, I opened my door, which opens in, so the snow could not stop me from opening the door, but I encountered a 4-foot high wall of snow immediately outside my door. So I got someone to dig me out. On that particular day, my phone was still working. However, for 3 solid weeks, I had no phone, no internet, not even text messaging until after midnight. So I couldn't even call, I don't know, my doctor, my insurance agent, someone to dig out my path so I could get out of my house. Man. And the whole time, I could not contact Verizon Wireless because they only answer phone calls during business hours. So I don't feel like fooling just because it's April Fool's. The news is crazy. The world is upside down. Oh, and by the way, California is still in a drought after at least 12 major storms with rain and snow. You know why? Because the deserts are still dry. Only in California can the snow load crush your roof in the middle of a drought. Only in California can your house go down the hill in a mudslide in the middle of a drought. Only in California can the ocean flood buildings along the shore during a drought. And only in California, well, I guess New York too, are they banning appliances that use natural gas, which happens to be one of the cleanest fuels we have. Oh, sure, electricity doesn't make fumes in your house unless it shorts out and sparks all over the place. But California doesn't make its own electricity. Most of our power plants, by the way, burn natural gas. But we don't make enough because wind farms and solar panels are inefficient. We import electricity from states where they burn coal to make electricity. we import oil and gasoline, while maybe you don't know this, but underground reserves of petroleum, oil, natural gas, etc., in California are at least as rich as those in Texas. We're not allowed to drill down and get them. And yes, some there is some oil drilling here, but because of regulations and so forth, the oil companies find it more profitable and less costly to send the crude oil to another state to be refined and then import the refined products back into California. And we're in a drought, even though we're being warned that when the snow melts, we're all going to be flooded because the deserts are still dry. Some of our major reservoirs are so full that they're letting water out of them to just kind of run downstream and into the ocean. But the drought isn't over. And farmers in Central California are told that it's illegal to capture any of the runoff. The floodwaters that are just running off. I've heard tales that at least one farmer is ignoring that and capturing the runoff so that it can, not into a reservoir, but so that it can soak into the ground and replenish the groundwater. During the Dust Bowl of the 1930s, the farms in Central California prospered because the farmers had wells that brought up groundwater. But for decades now, California has been pumping out the groundwater to feed the cities and then blaming the farmers for the depletion of the groundwater. The wells went dry. So I'm not fooling on April Fool's Day. There's nothing to fool about. The whole world is a mess. Oh, Los Angeles County finally. Sorry. Something's bugging me. Los Angeles County finally canceled the COVID emergency. But they're still offering free COVID testing and vaccinations. Here in the San Bernardino Mountains, we're under declared emergency by the county, by the state of California, and by the federal government because of the snow. My local grocery store is gone. The roof caved in. Several other buildings, mostly businesses, collapsed under the weight of the snow. Ace Hardware is back open. They were closed for a while. And Jensen's Market up in Blue Jay was closed because one of the pillars holding the roof had problems, but they're open now. This was not a matter of lack of preparedness. It was a matter, well, at least on the part of residents, it was a matter of record snow. I think we had a storm like this in the early 1960s, but I think this one is bigger. And the county was not prepared. They were surprised by the amount of snow. They didn't foresee it, even though all the weather forecasters were telling everyone that this was going to be a monster of a snowstorm. So they didn't. Our board of supervisors, see, we're unincorporated, we are not cities. Our board of supervisors did not allocate the equipment needed to clear the snow from the roads. Eventually, Caltrans, the California Department of Transportation, brought in skip loaders and a few dump trucks and took the snow away, probably dumped it into a lake. I'm not sure where they put it. But see, you need the things like skip loaders and front loaders with the scoops to pick up the snow and take it somewhere. Snow plows just kind of push it to the side of the road. Well, they didn't have anything extra. They just had the usual snow plows that work just fine when we have an inch or two. Our first storm dropped 4 feet here and 6 feet up a little higher and 10 or 12 feet way up in like Running Springs. It's horrible. But after 3 weeks with no phone and no internet except between midnight and 8 a.m. when I usually sleep, I was ready to kill something. Well, Verizon is basically paying my next month's bill, but it really doesn't make up for the lack of communication for 3 solid weeks. It doesn't make up for being unable to take care of my financial transactions, to pay bills online, and to check my bank balance online. I did eventually manage to order some cat food from Amazon, and the United Parcel delivered it. But a package that I ordered before these storms, back in February, still has not arrived because FedEx hasn't brought it to me. They say it's in transit, whatever that means. Their tracking shows that it's in Bloomington, which is like 35 miles away. No big deal. They could bring it. The roads are cleared. The mountain is open. It's a bright, sunny day. And not the first bright, sunny day, by the way. So maybe that is an April Fool's thing. They keep promising to bring my package and they never bring it. However, I have plenty of food. And thanks to Amazon, I have plenty of cat food. Friends and neighbors keep checking on me to make sure I'm okay. Yes, I'm fine. There are things I would like to have, but I have everything I need. I'm just ticked off at the news. We've got COVID, we've got a former president indicted, we've got threats from foreign countries. We have deplorable conditions at our borders. Hi, Viken, in the chat room. I don't usually come on Saturday morning, so I didn't expect a lot of visitors to pop in to my live chat. I can't keep watching the news. The other night, rather, I was trying to follow the Dodgers game, baseball. Dodgers versus Arizona Diamondbacks. Well, I turned on the radio and all they were talking about was Trump. So I turned it off. It's like, hello, the Dodgers are playing. Cover the game, you bozos. Huh. So over in England, YouTube is blocking the notification bell so people can't get notified when I'm on live. That's cute. Yeah, well, YouTube keeps showing me these two ads. They're only slightly different. One runs 2 minutes, one runs 3 minutes. And they're violent video games with a lot of shooting and screaming and things blowing up. And I don't want to watch them. Well, after 5 seconds, you can skip the ad. But that 5 seconds can feel like a year when you hear all this shooting and screaming. Yeah, I'm okay with. If you want to sell those video games, fine. Just don't show them to me. I don't want them. And they also have some sexual imagery. It's what you might call light porn. They're not exactly naked, but they might as well be. So, no April Fool's jokes today. Just while I actually have internet, I'm going to use it. Verizon Wireless has a de facto monopoly here because even the alternative services use the Verizon towers to provide service. So, of course, when there's a problem, they have worse problems than I do. Oh, my health, Beacon. Well, my broken back continues to heal. I cough a lot, probably from being shut indoors so much. Even when it's sunny, it's like 30 degrees outside. It's, 32 is freezing in Fahrenheit. I have gone out a little bit when it's at least 40 degrees, better when it's 50. And I have all the jackets and boots and things to bundle up, but there aren't many events to go to. And my favorite restaurant has been closed because their roof is, while not collapsed, it's what they call yellow tagged. It could collapse. They have to do some repairs on it before they can let people inside. And besides, with all I paid some people to shovel snow. That kind of cuts out the budget for eating out. Now, our local Baptist church dug me out once for free, but this was repeated with each storm. Whoops. I'd just get dug out and then more snow would fall. But we're in a drought. Only in California. Yeah, the deserts are dry. Our reservoirs are so full they have to let some water out so they don't flood the downstream communities when the snow melts. But we're in a drought. The deserts are dry. I was born and raised here. I don't think I'll ever escape. And I haven't been to enough. I hate it when my phone does that. I haven't been to enough other places to choose somewhere else. I'm typing in the chat. Okay. The thing is, you can't beat the climate and geography, except in March of 2023 in the mountains. Big Bear did well because they are a city and they have their own resources. We depend on the county here. And for some reason, even though Big Bear is much higher in altitude than we are, they got less snow than we did. Strange. The ski resorts are in Big Bear and Running Springs. Running Springs is a little higher than Crestline. Crestline ranges from 4,300 feet to 4,800 feet, and Running Springs is a little over 6,000. That's more than a mile. A mile is 5,280 feet. Wow, I don't know. But the worst thing that happened so far this year is on January 15th, I got an email from the gas company warning me that their rates had skyrocketed due to supply chain problems. Well, that was 6 days before the end of the service month. Too late to conserve. The month was almost over. I got a bill for $600. In the following month, even though I was actually using more gas in February, which is usually the coldest month of the year, my bill was only $300. The supply chain problem was that the parent company, Sempra Energy, sold all the gas to Europe, where they had shortages, right before our winter. So Sempra Energy sold their supplies to our gas company, which they own, at highly inflated prices because of the supply shortage. That just seems wrong. They sell the gas reserves at a profit, and then they charge their own company more, and of course they charge us consumers more. And it was more than twice the usual rate. There's just something stinky about that. It isn't as if we have a choice. And electricity is no cheaper and totally unreliable. When we get snow, now I was lucky my electricity flickered a few times, but it stayed on. Some people had no electricity, and those with all electric houses being environmental and all that had no heat, no hot water, no light. They couldn't charge their cell phones or use their computers. They were even worse off than I was. And those who could get out got out. Some had to put signs up outside because they had no other means of communication, saying help, snowed in. And many people checked on their neighbors and helped dig them out and bring them food or whatever they needed. But the county workers were nowhere to be seen. After the first day, they took all the snowplows off the mountain because they were useless. The snow was too deep for a plow. And they did not even consider sending, skip loaders or front loaders to move the snow. They just cried and screamed, "We need help. Let's get the state to help us." And of course, that took a while. The county declared the emergency, but they had to get the state, Governor Newsom in Sacramento to declare a state of emergency for our county. Hi, Gangstarek Films. I'm not sure what you're asking. How much you spend a month for all up there? I don't understand the question. I live up here. Oh, Jason is door dashing. Cool. Well, I don't know. It's slightly cheaper to live up here than down in the cities and suburbs. But we pay higher property taxes based on the theory that we need more services in the mountains. The problem is we don't actually get those services. And we kind of got spoiled because I think it was 8 years. We had a supervisor on the county board of supervisors who actually cared about these mountains. My hair is doing something mean to me, tickling and itching. Sorry. The new one doesn't seem to care at all. Oh, and by the way, our Congressman Jay Obernolte lives in Big Bear. Oh, like electricity, taxes, and so on. Well, it keeps going up. When I first moved up here, my electric was about $20 a month and my gas was about $30 a month. And it would double in winter. And hi, Oswald, in the chat. Okay, so now it's like the electric is about $35 a month and the gas is about $50 a month. But in winter, yeah, the electric doubles, but the gas is either 3 or 4 times as much. Taxes, well, my little house is what they call a tiny home. It's 400 square feet. My property taxes are almost $3,000 a year. If I had this house down in the valley, my property taxes would be a little under 2,000 a year. It's just because of our climate and our roads and so forth. Oh, and by the way, even the major road through town, Lake Drive, has so many potholes that if you drive on it, it's bumpity bump, kind of like a carnival ride. From the snow and from the snow plows and from the skip loaders and front loaders. But hey, most of us survived. The authorities say that 13 people died, but only one was due to the weather, and that was a car crash. Um, One lady I know of, because I know her neighbor, probably died of natural causes, but they didn't find her right away because even though the neighbors called for a wellness check, because they knocked on her door and couldn't get an answer. The sheriffs never showed up to check on the lady. So finally, the neighbors found a key, the usual, under the flower pot by the porch, and went in and found her lying on the floor, quite dead. I'm getting upset. She was in her 90s. She was very old. So she probably died of natural causes, but she had no electricity in her all electric home. So she was burning wood in the fireplace to keep warm. And they found her lying on the floor next to the fireplace and dead. Now, that's the thing, kind of circling back to California banning gas appliances. The electricity goes out regularly in these mountains. I'm one of the lucky ones I had electricity during the 3 weeks of Snowmageddon. Without gas heating, people burn wood to keep warm. And they don't always have the proper fireplace for burning wood. And even if they do, that's far worse pollution than a little gas heater. Natural gas, when it's unburned, if you have a methane leak, that can be toxic, it's bad, but you're burning it. And there's almost nothing coming out the chimney. Yes, a gas heater has a chimney. up on top of the roof. When you burn wood, you have smoke and ashes and dust, and even with the best of chimneys with the, I've forgotten the word, it's like a filter on top to catch all the nasty stuff. It's polluting much more than a gas heater. That's one of the reasons why third world countries, especially in Africa, are screaming, bring us natural gas, bring us electricity, because people burn wood and it's polluting our air and our water. Yeah, carbon filter may be vegan, but I think it might be called a suppressor. It's actually a quite recent um, gadget. Fireplaces used to just have a metal screen on top of the chimney to uh, keep the ashes and embers from flying out and starting fires. Now they have this amazing filter thing. It's almost like the air filter on your car. Yes, there is such a thing. So, anyway, in third world countries, people burn wood, coal, or charcoal if they can get it. They want natural gas and electricity. They're both cleaner. And for years, the Schwann's trucks, Schwann's used to deliver ice cream. Now they deliver ice cream and all kinds of frozen food. Well, their trucks have always used propane, which is related to the natural gas in your home because it's clean, unlike gasoline. Yeah, burning wood is a ceremony, a ritual. That's right, gangster. I'm trying to figure out whether you're referring to Star Trek, Gang Star Ek films. Anyway, leave my gas stove and my gas heater alone. I can't afford to replace them with electric. My house was built, I think, in 1930. Whenever it was, it did not have and still does not have the proper electrical connection for electric appliances. It's all 120 volts, and stoves and heaters take and water heaters too take a 220 circuit, which I don't have. And the cost of getting such a connection would begin with $1,000 to replace the switch box because it doesn't have a connection for that. And then they would have to rip out the walls and put in the actual wiring for the appliances that use it. So that is not an option. I would be down to a hot plate and a portable electric heater. You know, the kind that kind of blows a fan and it'll heat a small area. If you point it right at yourself, you might feel warm. But California wants to get rid of natural gas as a home fuel, even though they burn natural gas to make electricity. So that's just moving the problem from here to there. And there's some executive order from Sacramento to get rid of cars that burn gas. The problem is the electric car technology is not ready. Even if you can afford $60,000 for the lowest cost electric car, you have to charge it. And they're already asking people not to charge their cars during the day, but to plug them in at night when there's less demand for electricity, because there's a shortage of electricity from the grid. It's already strained to breaking, especially in the summer when people run their air conditioners. Well, my electric bill stays low because I don't have air conditioning. We usually don't need it up here. In August, we might get 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It's uncomfortable, but it isn't deadly or anything. I might get a portable swamp cooler, which is basically a device that soaks a screen in water and then blows a fan through it. Oh, yeah, eat bugs and be happy, Viken, that's right. I don't eat bugs. For one thing, they cannot take out the guts. For another, quite a few people have really terrible adverse reactions if they eat, for example, a cricket. You know, there's all kinds of allergies and stuff. It is not our natural food. And lab grown meat, there's just something icky about that. Now, I don't like the fact that an animal has to die to provide us with meat. And I don't eat a lot of meat. But it is one of our natural foods. I disagree with the what did they call themselves? Not keto, the carnivore diet. Yes, our ancient ancestors ate meat whenever they could get it. But they also ate vegetables and fruits. We are not carnivores, we're omnivores. We eat everything. And frankly, they didn't go out every day and kill a mammoth so they could have a steak. And there's another way to look at meat eating. Cows are not an endangered species, cattle, because we drink their milk and we eat their meat. Chickens are not an endangered species because we eat their eggs and their meat. Swine, pigs are not an endangered species because we eat them. Oh. Oh, gangster comes from a Polish word for potter. That's interesting. Well, anyway, I don't know what they're doing to our beef cattle, but I can't eat beef. I love a good steak, but a few hours later, I pay for it big time. I cannot digest it. I suppose I could find an organic grass fed beef for a huge price, but I'm on a very tight budget. Yeah, Gangster Wreck. Gangster Potter, huh? Little gangster? Okay. I can't help thinking of Harry Potter. I enjoyed the movies, never read the books. But children should not mess with magic. Most of us should not mess with magic because it is real and it's dangerous. You don't want to dabble. It's just too dangerous. I've been on for 40, almost 47 minutes, and I was just going to do a few minutes because it's been so long since I've been able to come on live. And I'm just really upset, not so much at the storm as at the official response to it. Our gas stations still regularly run out of gasoline. I guess not. Well, the supply chain is pretty much working. The tankers bring the gas, but so many mountain residents ran out of gas during the storm. They couldn't get gas, that they're swarming the gas stations to fill up their tanks. I guess that's a good sign. And I need to point out, too, that as bad as it was here in the San Bernardino Mountains, about 70 miles east of Los Angeles, up north around Tahoe, where Lake Tahoe is in California and Nevada, it was 10 times worse. Yes, Vegan email still works, but you don't need to send me anything. I got one county grant to help with my gas bill, and the state of California is processing a second grant. And they cannot turn off our utilities, our gas and electricity, while we're in a state of emergency, which is a good thing because I pay my bills online. I'm paperless. And besides, our post office was closed for 2 or 3 weeks, so I couldn't mail anything. So, anyway, my utilities will not be turned off. I have managed to keep up payments on my house. And I stocked up early, not necessarily because of the coming storm, but because I just do that. if I want, for example, a can of beans for my dinner, I'll buy two and put one in the pantry and eat the other one. And the food banks, the food giveaways, I had to tell them to stop bringing me things because I have enough rice and pasta and dried beans to feed an army. I mean, I've run out of places to put it. I give away food when I can, when people need it. Yeah, I'm still kind of struggling vegan, but I'm doing better because I do have my retirement from Social Security. I'm 68 and actually closer to 69. So, of course, I'm retired. The pension isn't a whole lot, but it's something that I didn't have before. The real problem is that I've got to take charge of my own nutrition to help my bones heal. My back broke twice, and it really shouldn't have. The first time I was lifting boxes that were too heavy. The second time, I was getting out of bed and the cat was on top of the blanket, so I twisted funny. Anyway, the doctor referred me to a nutritionist, but the nutritionist is nuts. I told her I needed to gain weight, and the diet plan she sent me is designed to promote weight loss. I'm severely underweight. And I don't weigh myself at home. I wait for the doctor to do that. But I can tell that I'm getting better because I've taken charge of my own nutrition. Did I get my book sorted and in order? Um, Not yet, but I'm making progress. I'm still searching for some books that haven't turned up anywhere. Anyway, so this diet plan, first off, the nutritionist has joined the cult of no wheat and no dairy, not even butter and cheese. And I am not giving up cheese. And I don't see any benefit to using a spoonful of olive oil instead of a pat of butter. And then let's see, 5 servings of vegetables every day. 5? 5 servings? But no starchy vegetables like potatoes and squash. However, it's okay to eat sugary fruits, rice, corn tortillas, and half a dozen starches that I had to look up on Google. Uh, on the whole, I think potatoes and squash are more healthful and nutritious. And she recommended almonds and almond milk. And I've forgotten why, but I'm supposed to lay off of almonds in any form. They're bad for something. Liver, kidneys, I forget. I tend to get kidney stones and gallstones. Well, since I took over my own nutrition, I haven't had any stones. Knock on wood. No, nobody steals books, Viken. They probably just tossed them into random boxes that I haven't pawed through yet. But what ticked me off the most was that I had packed up books into boxes, books to donate to the library. The Friends of the Library sell used books to raise funds for the library. I had a box of those. I had a box of books to sell and a box of books to store more securely because they're valuable. All unpacked and shoved into random shelves on random bookcases. And it's still a mess because it took me weeks to sort my books the first time. And I resent having to do it again. I have other things to do. And I'm limited by my back. It is healing, but if I mop the kitchen floor, I have to take a nap. And I can't vacuum the rug on the same day that I mop the floor because my back can't take it. If I clean the kitchen, I can't clean the bathroom on the same day. If I sort books, I get so into it that I don't even remember to eat. And besides, the main thing I was searching for was my medications and grooming supplies. I had them all together in a box, all together, so I could put together a go bag, a bag that you take with you for evacuations, which do happen from time to time. Totally unpacked, and the thing scattered into a dozen different nooks and crannies all over the house. No, Oswald, no tooth abscess from tobacco and coffee. And you might have noticed I don't have teeth now. I I have dentures. I'm just not wearing them. Since I have to boil water on the stove, it's kind of hard to get just the right temperature to clean my dentures. So I'm not bothering. You'd like to attempt what yourself without a dentist? No, I got tooth abscesses when I was a child. I didn't smoke or drink coffee. I had bad teeth. So do my brother and my sister. Probably because mom didn't get proper nutrition while she was pregnant. I started smoking in high school. Hi, Morgan. I've been on for about an hour, so. Oh, let's see. I think I was. I think I got my dentures when I was 40, something like that. Or maybe 40, 45, I don't know. I had some partials for a short time and they just were too annoying. But all my life, my natural teeth caused me pain, severe pain. I can eat better with my dentures. For soft food, I leave them out because I can get more flavor when I'm not wearing the dentures. Oswald smokes and drinks coffee but has better teeth than the average European. You had a Latter-day Saint dentist. Oh, a lapsed Latter-day Saint. They hate being called Mormons, but that's what they are. Yeah, dental health care is good, but if you're dealt a lousy hand, you're not going to win the game. No, I had my first tooth extraction, by surgery when I was 4 years old. So it wasn't anything I was doing. Mom was a sugar Nazi. I mean, breakfast was dry cereal with no sugar. Dessert was a slice of fruit, like a peach, usually a peach out of a can. I can't say that our diet was the best, but it's, I mean, like, we rarely had fruit juice. We never had Kool-Aid. And one time at a friend's birthday party, they had Kool-Aid, so I tried it and didn't like it. You know, yeah, Oswald, do you mean consumption as in eating food or consumption as in tuberculosis? Oh, I had cake once a year on my birthday. And by the time I was 12, I had to bake it myself. It was never store bought. Um, hmm. Well, let's not rabbit trail into Mom, the devil's sister. Well, lately, since I had COVID, in January, I had COVID. I was craving chocolate, something awful. I couldn't leave the house, I was isolated. But one of my neighbors who was recovering from COVID went and bought me some chocolate. And I still have some chocolate cravings. But I dug down into the research, and not just anybody who's on Google, but real doctors and so forth. They suggested it was a magnesium deficiency and that I should try eating tree nuts. So I've been eating cashews and walnuts and pecans, and the chocolate craving is subsiding. Oh, sugarholic. Yeah, I would have killed for sugar. Mom put sugar in her coffee, so when I was young, I would sneak in, put some peanut butter on the slice of bread, and then sprinkle it with sugar and slap the second slice of bread on top. We were not allowed to have jelly or jam on our peanut butter sandwiches. But I had a spoonful of sugar sprinkled on it, and either Mom didn't know or she chose to ignore it. Turns out, however, that peanut butter has a lot of sugar in it already. Almonds and pistachios. Oswald, yeah, well, I have to go easy on almonds, and I don't really. I like the flavor of pistachios, but they're too hard to chew. And once in a while, you get a pistachio that's like a rock. It could break your teeth if you aren't careful. However, I now have a rocket blender. It's like a glass about, I keep forgetting the camera's over there, not on the screen. About the size of this one. And it's not as big as it looks in the image. And it is a blender. You push it down on the base and it goes whir. I can do that to the pistachios. I don't want an air fryer, Deacon. I'm learning to cook, to really cook. And a little oil is okay for me because I'm too skinny. It just needs to be something healthful, not the crappy oils, which used to be cheap, but nowadays they've doubled in price. A generic bottle of salad oil or cooking oil that doesn't even say what kind of oil it is, it's doubled in price. No corn oil. Although I used to love to use corn oil to make popcorn on the stovetop. Ooh, Morgan has had a tooth hit a rock hard pistachio. Ah, it hurts. Oh, you're going to donate my cookbook to a restaurant. Well, thank you, Oswald. Oh, God, poor Morgan shattered his tooth on a pistachio. Well, anyway, we survived. The weather's looking good. We might get more weather, but it won't be anywhere near as huge as the storms we had. Some news outlets are saying that we had 12 storms, and some are saying that we actually had 21 storms in California and Oregon and Washington and Alaska, and of course, British Columbia. But the big storms now are in the southeast. Alabama, Tennessee, I think Texas had some really bad storms. Anyway, they get tornadoes that will pick up your house and tear it to shreds, with you in it, of course. They say 11 people in our southeast have died due to tornadoes. Oh, would I say Phil ever embraced the trickster archetype? Of course. Will you stop it, Tora? Come say hello to your adoring fans if you're going to pester me. She's putting her paw in my coffee cup. Come on, turn around and say hello. I don't want to. Say hi to your adoring fans. Okay? Now you can have some treats. How about that? thanks to Amazon, I have cat treats. Well, where are you? I had prepared, but somehow I didn't have enough canned cat food to get through the storms. And the fire department brought me a case of canned cat food. That was so awesome. Yeah, long time no see, Tora. She says, I don't care, just give me treats. So, anyway, the worst of the storms is over. But there's still a huge snow berm out front. You know, the plows just shove the snow to the side of the road. In Oregon, of course, it's flat there. It makes it easier, and the roads are wider. In Oregon, they have these big concrete islands in the center of the main roads, and they put the snow in the middle there. So all the shops and houses on those roads do not have snow berms to dig through. Here, the berm out front is at least 4 feet tall. It used to be 10 to 12 feet. It's melting. It's been warm enough, 50 degrees, 40 to 50 for the snow to melt. Of course, people downstream, down at the base of the mountain, are having to deal with flooding. But, phew, we aren't exactly snowed in, and it isn't as cold. Okay, Morgan wants to know what 50 is in C. Okay, I keep forgetting. I used to know all these. So Google will tell me. 10. 10 degrees Celsius, which isn't too bad. When winter begins up here, we're all shivering and bundling up, but then we get used to it, and 50 feels okay, and 60 is like, oh my, it's warm. Turn off the heater, take off the jacket. Ah, where'd you go, Tora? Oh, she got her treats, so she left. Oh, wow. So Snowmageddon, as in Armageddon through snow, is over. Oh, poor Morgan, it's been 0 for ages. That's 32 Fahrenheit. Well, the metric system has advantages, but I grew up on standard measurements, which are not the same as British or Canadian. Well, I shouldn't say British. Scottish measures are different from English and different from Irish and different from Canadian and so on and so forth. But they're close. But I grew up on the American ounces and cups and pints and quarts and gallons. And I'm used to them, and I can even estimate them. If I can't find a teaspoon, I can guess how much liquid is in a teaspoon. Oh, Morgan's in Canada. Nova Scotia. Well, yeah, it's cold there. Isn't it always cold in Nova Scotia? By the way, that means New Scotland. Yep, it's always cold in Nova Scotia. Do you know that the name Greenland was not just public relations hype when the Vikings started colonies in Greenland? It was green. They could grow crops and raise cattle and so forth. And the climate changed and it got too cold. So they moved to Iceland, which was warmer than Greenland, ironically. I think they were Danish. I shouldn't really call them Vikings. Viking was a term for people who raided and marauded. Oh, Morgan loves Iceland. Usually people from uh, Scandinavia, but especially Denmark. And of course, was it Eric the Red or Leif Erikson, father and son? One of them went to Vinland, which was probably the coast of the eastern coast of Canada. Might have been uh, far north of the United States, which didn't exist then. Called it Vinland because wild grapes were growing. I have a little story about Phil and Iceland. When he flew to France for the Mets uh, I lost the word. Not conference, it's a the big convention. He had a layover in Iceland. Got off the plane and went. I guess he converted some money to Iceland money. Went and had a cup of coffee and handed them $1, and an Iceland dollar, and they said that isn't enough. Well, at the time, at home in California, a cup of coffee was 25 cents, a quarter of a dollar. My computer's pestering me. The Wolves of Finland? They're a national group in the Pacific Northwest, a nationalist. Never heard of them. Viken likes metric measurements and imperial weight systems. I get too confused by someone who weighs so many stone. I have to stop and do the math. Okay, a stone is 16 pounds. And then it isn't easy to add 16s or multiply them in your head. I kind of like to just stick with pounds. But I'm getting familiar with a lot of British here from binge watching Midsummer Murders and Poirot and whatever. Oh, and I really enjoyed that series called I think it was Shetland. I think it was named after islands off the coast of Scotland, and the detective was solving murder mysteries. But I watched 2 seasons, and I don't know whether there were any more. But each season was a series. Each episode led to the next, and it was all one story over the course of, I think, half a dozen episodes. It was quite intriguing. Anyway, so I know that football, that's how they say it in Argentina, football is not American football. We call it soccer. Uh, I don't think I have access to Coronation Street and EastEnders. I used to watch Are You Being Served and oh, Mrs. Bucket. What is that series called? She'd always say it's Bouquet, Bucket, Bouquet. Keeping Up Appearances. I did watch the first 2 seasons of uh, Downton Abbey, which should not be called Abbey, and Abbey is part of a church. But anyway, I got tired of it. Oh, and of course, I watch Sherlock Holmes when I get the chance. But most of what's available to me is the American movies with Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce. And they're really centered on World War II for the most part. They often take place in the United States. I have found on YouTube the old half-hour radio programs of Sherlock Holmes. I do like them. But anyway, I've been on almost an hour and a half, and I'm running out of things to say. And if I ever get to England, I'm going to, well, assuming that pubs are still there and still the way they were in the TV shows, which are probably 20 years old, I want to try things like Bubble and Squeak and Toad in the Hole, but I will not eat black pudding because I know what it's made of. Hi, Tora. You come to say hello again? Yes. Oh, she's huge. Look at this. She used to be so tiny, and she's huge and heavy. She must weigh 20 pounds. Yes, you're a pretty old kitty cat, aren't you? Yes, say hi to your adoring fans, okay? And by the way, when a cat squints at you, those are kitty kisses. Yes, they are. And she's purring too. Did you need some more treats? Is that your problem? Up over here. You're too heavy. I can't move. Ah, I'm not supposed to lift more than 10 pounds. And even 10 pounds is kind of difficult, but that's what a bag of cat litter weighs. Here you go. I've kept the cats in since October. And the worst part of it, of course, is the litter box. I'm praying for summer so I can let them romp and play outside. But we had a very early winter cold spell in October. It was still autumn. I don't like to call it fall. It's autumn. Oh well. Anyway, them out. I have to open the door again to let them in, and it's cold out there. And Tora's so spoiled she expects the door to just stay open while she's outside. She gets angry if I shut it. Are you back already? I gave you treats. I did. She disapproves of cigarettes. Ugh. Come on then. Oh, she's big and heavy. Yes, she is. Uh-huh. Up, down, please. Your pokey paws in me. Anyway, the real reason I want to go to England is that I want to see the Lake District where Beatrix Potter. Cold and Beacon says, yes, this winter lasted a good 5 months this year. No snow here, just cold and ice. Tora, knock it off. You're driving me crazy. I guess I'm going to have to give her some real cat food. Well, figure out where you want to be when you eat it so I can put it down. There, here. Cat does not live by treats alone. I don't know a whole lot about Boris Johnson. I wonder how Brexit is going. England has fared better than other countries because you kept your currency. You have pounds, not euros. So that probably made Brexit a little easier or less difficult. But apparently the EU is quite a different animal from the European common market. Deacon recommends Dartmoor National Park. Oh, the Hound of the Baskervilles was set there in Sherlock Holmes. Yep. There's another Sherlock Holmes story that it doesn't have a hound, but it's set in the moors and some kind of creature is attacking people, clawing their throats out. And it turns out to be a very human man. Who is getting revenge because the woman he fell in love with married somebody else. I forget the title of it, but it's also set on the moors. It has a very similar ending. But the Hound of the Baskervilles turns out to be a real hound. A big dog. Although the dog they show in the movies doesn't look like a hound to me. It's maybe a Great Dane. They aren't hounds. Well, anyway, I'm about talked out. I don't want to get into the politics or the pandemic, except to say that it's pretty much over. We're no longer in a state of emergency. I had a runny nose. It was a very runny nose, but I wasn't very ill. Oh, Wuthering Heights, yes, Heathcliff. I cheated. There's this series of comic books called Classics Illustrated. So I read that version of Wuthering Heights. Oh, Oswald, I am thrilled and delighted. This is the first morning when I've had enough of a signal from my wireless internet to do this. It's been horrible. It's been a month, really. With even when I had internet, like between midnight and 8 in the morning, it was such a weak signal, it kept stalling. I'd get the hourglass of doom going like this on the screen. And I pay my bills online. It was harrowing, to say the least. Stay up past midnight just to make a payment on something. I usually sleep at night. Okay, guys, I think I'll get back to trying to order something on Amazon that I haven't been able to get here because our grocery store collapsed. And it's still rather difficult to get to the supermarkets that are open. Besides, they bring it right to the door, and I have Amazon Prime, so the shipping is free. It pays off for me. I get it at half price because I'm old. And I haven't used their photo storage or their music. I check out the Prime videos once in a while, but too often the things I would like to watch are not free, even with Amazon Prime. Yeah, it has been nice catching up, Beacon. I'm going to have to get going. Feed Tora some real food. So let's see. Thank you all for listening and have a great day. It's been real and no fooling. So no fooling. Catch you all later. Thank you, Morgan. Okay, let's see. End stream. End.